Hello and welcome again to the Electric Universe series. We are talking today about manifestation within the Electric Universe. We a while ago did a pod on the law of attraction. The law of attraction is one of these terms which is bandied about now and really is sometimes not understood properly. And anyway, belongs in a collective within the new physics. It's one of many universal laws, or several universal laws, and therefore it doesn't work alone. See, when we talk about the electric universe, it implies a charged force of intelligence of some kind, which, on deeper consideration, changes the nature of the whole, of what we think we might know, or thought we knew at one time in our fairly recent history as a species. This pulsating, vibrating space exists with us, and really we don't know why, or we don't know particularly what for. Because this is an unfoldment. This is something which is unfolding as we go. But this question of manifestation or bringing into being, which is what the law of attraction is understood to mean, really, to change anything, to change what we can acquire, or to change what we've got for something new, or to bring into being something we need that we haven't got, means we have to change the paradigm. To receive that which is being attracted is not possible unless we change the paradigm. So we can ask, we can signal and ask and put out to the universe all we like. That is a yang activity, stating emphatically, knowing emphatically, thinking emphatically. We then have to change to a more yin state of receiving. And in that segue between yang and yin, we wait for another yang, which is a rendering forth of what we need. And in the middle of that is our own frequency, which needs to change. So we change a paradigm to change the status quo. And manifesting is about drawing nearer to a vibration. It's not about creating a vibration. It's about heightening our own vibration, or moving our sense of awareness nearer to a new vibration. So, for instance, if you are not happy and what you're wishing to manifest is something which can only exist in a happy state, or in a lighter, more jubilant, joyful state, then you have to change your inner sense of what it is to be happy, and to change that frequency. You have to understand or be able to access a new paradigm. It's about aligning with the frequency, and to align ourselves with the universal laws is to understand the change of frequency. So I suppose it's chicken and egg, because if you are trying to manifest something from an apparent wrong mood, and you visualize that thing, and you totally in the way of that, the thinking of that, then your mood or your frequency will automatically change. Yeah. So whereby the day before we thought to ourselves, well, I might spend 2 days in a caravan in wherever as a cheap holiday. By the next day, if we've heightened our frequency, we're more confident, we're more buoyant, we're more optimistic, into our mind comes thoughts of something more opulent than a caravan, whatever that might mean to you. I mean, this is very much an individual thing. All the law of attraction is to an extent cause and effect, and you can't jump from living, say, in a cardboard box to attracting a mansion. You can't do it. You can visualize the mansion from the cardboard box, and if you're very, very good and very adept, you might be able to change that paradigm instantly. But more usually what happens is, if you're, to use the example again, if you're living in a cardboard box and you visualize feeling happier, again, the object of what you might hang the happiness on appears as an upgraded sense of where you might be next. So it goes in stages till eventually maybe you're at the mansion, or maybe you decide along the way you're comfortable enough and you don't need the mansion. The law of attraction is not necessarily, and really isn't, I would say, about getting what you want all of the time. It's about understanding how to make improvements from where you are, but how to visualize those improvements as being very real. So intention governs attention, and what we intend brings our attention to all different things. So if we intend to change our job for something that we enjoy more, it isn't necessary to have a complete plan in mind from A to Z before we set out. It's only necessary to understand what we don't want to feel anymore, what we don't want to do anymore, how we don't want to be at the mercy of a certain frequency. And when that space is made, the imagination, which is really part of the law of attraction anyway, will kick in, and we'll begin to understand what it is we may want instead. And that will bring us to certain stages of an evolvement, or, a realization. And realization has two meanings, of course, or to a manifestation. Now, it's possible that we can envisage things which we think are not viable, or not feasible, or not within the realms of possibility. And some people will teach that when you think about the law of attraction, forget the details, you can't think too big, you can't think too grandly. You can't, but what happens is the pessimistic side of human nature kicks in, so that after we've done an hour of working on the process of a law of attraction, it then may be followed by 6 hours of beating ourselves up about how unrealistic that is, and how it's not, we're being gullible or we're being foolish because we're not going to get to that. So most people need time to bring themselves into a wider framework of expectancy and realistic envisioning. And so therefore, something we think about as impossible, but we really, really want, and our heart is in it, and our head is in it, and this is, all the senses must be in it for manifestation to take place. We then forget about it, and it may be such a grandiose objective or dream that we don't think it can be, but then 5 years later we find ourselves with the potential to realise it or to make it happen, because it's taken us all this time in the conscious realm to manoeuvre ourselves around the obstacles that would be in our way in terms of belief to get us there. And so this is why in certain treatise on using the law of attraction, or operating the law of abundance, people are taught to start in small ways and to visualize things which are eminently reachable or possible within a day or a week's time span. Certainly, in an occult sense, in an esoteric sense, it's always been spoken the law of manifestation, and the law is that if something can be imagined, it can manifest. And this is the way the old occultists described it. If you want it, there are certain mechanisms you use through the astral and the causal plane to make this manifest. Now, what the law of attraction has done is kind of shrunk wrapped that and said, hey, our mind is magnetic, and our mind can bring to us what it is we wish for or what we need. Well, certainly our mind is magnetic, and if it's not magnetic, then talking about the electric universe is not a valid thing. But our mind is magnetic, but not quite as magnetic as some of the frequencies operating in the universe. And this is why we have to align ourselves with those frequencies, because if you like to use the expression, we download them or we borrow from them and they assist us. But it's our job to heighten our frequency, to meet those higher frequencies, to vibrate at a more open level, at a faster rate. And when we first start to practice, it will feel like childish excitement, anticipation, expectancy, like it's the day before Christmas. And that's what it is, but in a way that is part of it. Once you can ground that in the lower chakras and bring it through the heart to the higher chakras, until you know that all the chakras are spinning and you feel centered within it. Because in most states of expectancy or higher excitement, there is a non-reality about it. It's surreal. Now, when you're manifesting, you can't afford for it to be feeling surreal. It's got to feel possible. It's like when a writer is writing, they know that this is a separate reality, but in some way it is very, very real. And if there are any writers listening to this, they'll know what I mean, because the minute it stops feeling real, you'll know you're off track with what you're trying to express. So something has got to feel inherently right or real, not immediately present, because that attraction might have a way to go before it reaches its mark, before the magnetism kind of finds its mark, but it has to feel reasonably viable or real. And this is not a question of practicality. It's a question of suitability to the person involved. So if somebody trying to manifest their own plane has a fear of heights or is scared to get into the cockpit, maybe the first step is to take flying lessons in somebody else's plane. And this is what I mean about the realism of attracting. And there is a lot talked about now about the law of attraction. It's almost peddled like evangelically, like the religions of old. Whoa, guys, is this thing, and you can make anything. You can make any amount of money. You can be what you want to be. You can, but you have to change your paradigm. And changing the paradigm is not as easy as we imagine. And even if we take into account the theory of the hologram, because that's what the physical earth is, the hologram, it's illusory. It's what the ancients or the esotericists call Maya. It's made of illusion. It's made of thought. Not that it doesn't exist or that the house across the street isn't real, but that everything is made of somebody's prior thought and feeling, So as much as we know about the hologram, and we've seen the Matrix, and we know, we've seen the film The Matrix and so on. The Matrix is a very, very good explanation for really how the subtle into the physical realms does work. But as much as we know all that and appreciate it, it takes a hell of a lot of doing to manipulate it, and to change the paradigm starts within us, and it's harder to rule ourselves and to control our inner world than it probably is to control a lot of other things seemingly on the outside. But that is what we need to do. We need to understand the paradigm and how to literally create a new paradigm gradually and thoroughly, or quickly and thoroughly, but to create it so it stands on good legs and step into it. I mean, when we talk about the electric universe, it implies a lot of things that, as I said at the beginning, change the way we feel about the fundamental important facts of life, one of them being death. Death is a change of paradigm. And as much as people disappear somewhere, we do not know that they don't step into some literally physical other place. It's just as real and touchable and physical as the place they've just left, which is within our proximity. Everything is a paradigm. Everything is an energetic. Everything is a frequency in flux or in movement. And a paradigm is a flux of energy frequency which has become fairly static for whatever length of time. And so the law of attraction and manifestation, manifesting something, requires that we can hold on to the vision, that it can be fairly steady within somewhere, within some quantum that nobody, it defies description and nobody can really describe it. Call it the causal plane, call it whatever. The bridgeway between where we are now, what we can sense as being potential, and how that is made into physical reality, or how we are drawn to that physical when the thing becomes manifest. But the change of paradigm, and therefore the control of the inner, the imagination and the inner workings of our psyche is paramount to even beginning to understand this. That's all for today. Join us next time on The Electric Universe.